Most honorable and respectable, distinguished ulama karam, respectable fathers, mothers, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As the honorable host mentioned, that my younger brother, not elder brother, umre liyaz chote, ilm ke liyaz bade. My younger brother Imam Muhammad Asim Sahib, Sadian unfortunately could not make it on this occasion. He sends his apologies, but as you are aware, there is the annual Sunni conference in Ghamkol Sharif, Birmingham. And Honorable Ustaz Imdadul Ummah, Mufassir Quran, Hazrat Alama Qibla Pirzada Imdad Hussain, Hafizahullah Ta'ala, they asked Honorable Imam Sahib to come with them. So he was caught between coming here and fulfilling the hukum of his Ustad. So he decided to go back with Ustaz up to Birmingham. So for this reason he couldn't be here today. Instead he sent a Naqis Adna Khadim of the Deen, myself, to come and take his place. And inshallah Azza wa Jal, with the short time that I have, I wish to give a message. And after the message I will take ijazah, because I need to be in Bradford. The program in Bradford finishes at 6 o'clock. And our Honorable Ustad, Shaykh al-Mashayikh, Mufti Qazi Hassan Raza Sahib, they requested our presence there as well. So Asim was supposed to go there, he was supposed to be here, he's supposed to be in Birmingham as well. I'm here, I need to be in Bradford, then after that I'm in Preston and then in Bolton. So as you can imagine, Doro. So at 10 o'clock we had class as well. We didn't get back from Bedford last night till 2 in the morning. Before that I was in Walthamstow teaching class as well. So you can imagine and appreciate our lifestyle. It's difficult when there's just 2, 3, 4, 5 of us. If only we had more youngsters on this path as well. Your sons, your daughters, if only you sent them, inshallah Azza wa Jal, to Jamia Al-Karam, to Sultan Bahu, to Sufatul Islam, to other great institutes in this country, so that they can go and learn the deen as well, and then after learning the deen they can spread the deen, and they can call our youth towards Islam and call our youth towards the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I have about 15 minutes or so, inshallah, my speech, my topic. My message, inshallah, will be less than that. Allah Almighty give me the tawfiq to speak the truth, and give you the tawfiq to listen to the truth, and ultimately tawfiq lies with Allah Almighty. وَمَا تَوْفِيقِي إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ الْعَلِيِّ الْعَظِيمِ. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, الذي أبدع الأفلاك والأرضين, والصلاة على من كان نبيا وآدم بين الماء والطين, وعلى آله وأصحابه وأهل بيته أجمعين. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة. صدق الله مولانا العظيم. ببركة إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم وصل عليه. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا سيدي يا حبيب الله. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا سيدي يا رحمة للعالمين. One more time, कोई ज़बान खामोश न रहे. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا سيدي يا خاتم النبيين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Where Hazrat Alama Hafiz Sadaqat Sahib left off, I shall continue. The message and mawzu was this, that the bunyad of Iman the foundation of belief is Hubbun Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Foundation, bunyad, is the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This was their message. And their time was short. They mentioned towards the end of their speech that love without a'mal is nothing. You know, I might say something else and they were talking about something else. Love without a'mal, love without namaz, love without roza and zakat and hajj is baseless. First thing I want to mention is a principle. Ulama are present, you'll find this in the books of Ilm al-Manazila, that ad-da'wa bila dalilin ghayru masmu'in. And I want you to take this principle away with you. This qaida, this qanoon in Ilm al-Manazila. The ad-da'wa, a claim bila dalilin, without any proofs or evidences, ghayru masmu'in, that claim is not listened to. That claim is not listened to. Nobody will listen to that claim. Our claim is what? That we are lovers of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is our claim. But this claim will only become valid when we have proofs and evidences to support that claim. And as mu'mins and Muslims, the greatest proof and evidence that we have is our 5 daily prayer. Our 5 daily prayer. Fajr, Zohar, Asr, Maghrib and Isha. This is our greatest dalil. To show that we are Muslims, that we are mu'mins, and ultimately we are lovers of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Quran says this, that the purpose in life is to worship Allah Almighty. Allah Almighty says in the Quran, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. That I did not create jinn or man except to worship me. This is first and foremost for every Muslim, that he worships Allah Almighty. And Imam al-Mufassirin, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma, cousin of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, great mufassir of the Quran from amongst the Sahaba Ikram, Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'in. And Imam Abu Qasim al-Qushayri rahimahullah ta'ala do nakal of this in their Al-Risalat al-Qushayriyyah. Then under this ayat of the Quran, Surah number 51, Surah Dhariyat, verse number 56, where Allah says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Here Imam al-Mufassirin Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma, he says, إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ is also in the meaning of إِلَّا لِيَعْرِفُونَ. Yani, I did not create jinn or man. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ. Allah is saying this in the Quran. I did not create jinn or man except to recognize me. And both ibadat, worship, and irfan, recognition, comes through the bargha of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah just says in the Quran, yuqimuna as-salah, that establish your prayer. But nowhere in the Quran, from Surah Al-Fatiha to Surah Al-Nas, will you find the full description, the awsaf of the prayer. Nowhere will you find that first you make your niyat, your intention, then you raise your hands, you do takbir tahrima, then you fold your arms, you do sana, you do ta'awwuz, you do tasmiyah, you do fatiha, you do surah. Then after doing this, then you go into ruku. Nowhere will you find this. You will only find this in Barghai Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That if you want your ibadah to be accepted, you have to go through Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if you want recognition and irfan of Allah Almighty, then you have to go through Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And again, this is what Quran says: لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Allah Almighty says in Surah number 33, Surah Al-Ahzab, verse number 21. Therefore, we have to get into this habit of giving references. Ajkal, you have certain scholars, doctors who be on TV as well, and they are like this parrot form, parrot fashion. Surah number 3, verse number 16. And our youngsters are mesmerized by this. One is because he speaks the English language. And two, because our youngsters are now brought up in a culture, in a society. They go to universities and colleges and schools. And the schools and colleges and universities, they bombard them with references. Our youngsters are growing up with this mindset that always question, always ask why. Why is it this way? Why is it that way? So as scholars, as ulama, as da'is, as students of knowledge, as Muslims within the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, is very, very important that first we study the Quran, first we study the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and then we retain this knowledge as well. Everybody says that we do Yarbi Sharif. Everybody knows that today is Milad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Lekin if I was to ask the average youngster here, young brother or sister, if I was to ask the average individual who is sat here, that give me one daleel from the Quran that Milad is permissible. Give me one daleel from the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that Milad is permissible. Sadly and unfortunately, that's where our knowledge stops. We know that Milad is jaiz. We know that Yarbi Sharif is permissible. We know that doing these programs in remembrance of Rajab al-Muharram, doing these programs is permissible. But if somebody was to ask us why we do this, we will not have an answer. Quran says, Surah Al-Ahzab, Surah number 33, verse number 21, that if you want an example in life, if you want a role model in life, then don't look at the celebrities in the 21st century. Don't look at the pop stars, the movie stars, the sports stars that the media will pollute your mind with. Quran says this, and Allah Almighty says that if you want an example and a role model, then look no further than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam is our best role model and example. Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam is our ideal example. That if you want to emulate somebody, if you want to copy somebody, if you want to follow somebody, then follow nobody else but Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Acha, why? Who is that? You know why? Youngster might ask why. Chalo will give you an answer from the Quran as well. Allah Almighty says in Surah Al-Qalam, Surah number 68, verse number 4, that why is his example the best example? Why is his way of life, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the best way of life? Allah says in the Quran, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَىٰ خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. That his example, his way of life is the best way of life because his character is the best character. His conduct is the most sublime conduct. His manners are the best of all manners. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came in order to teach you and me how to behave with one another. You'll find this hadith sharif in the Musnad of Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. Imam al-Bazzar has done nakal of this as well. Or Qadi Iyad in his Ash-Shifa has done nakal of this hadith as well. That وَعِسْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَقَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, I was sent in order to perfect character. The people learn how to treat one another. People learn how to respect one another. People learn how to be tolerant towards one another. Yes, there are differences. Yes, Sayyidina Bilal was from Habsha. Yes, Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was from Makkah. Yes, Sayyidina Abu Zar al-Ghafari was from Sham and Yemen. But all of them stood side by side, shoulder to shoulder, in Masjid Nabawi Sharif, behind Rasulullah. Or this is that Rasul, this is that Nabi of Allah, that he took Abu Bakr and made him into As-Siddiq. He took Umar and made him into Al-Faruq Al-A'zam. He took Uthman and made him into Dhun-Nurayn Al-Ghani. And he took Ali and made him into Al-Murtaza. And then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam took dead hearts, resurrected them and brought them back to life. This is why Imam Ahl-Sunnah, Imam Ahmad Riza Khan says, look, चमक तुझसे पाते हैं सब पाने वाले मेरा दिल भी चमका दे चमकाने वाले. That if you want to understand ibadat, then look at Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This was not Nabi of Allah Almighty. We're talking about misal. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was their misal. There's no example like the example of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There's no character like the character of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
When it came to ibadah, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was that Prophet of Allah, that Nabi of Allah, that yes, he was masoom, he was sinless, but he would spend the whole night in ibadah. He would spend the whole night in ibadah. Hey, this is the Prophet of Allah. This is Rahmatul lil Alameen, Sultan Medina, Noor Sina, Ahmad Mustafa wal Mujtaba, and Ummahatul Mu'minin Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa, radiyallahu ta'ala anha, Bukhari Sharif ki hadith. She asks Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Ya Rasulullah, Ya Habiballah, your previous sins have been forgiven, your future sins have been forgiven. Why is it that you stand all night until so much so that your feet become swollen? Ya Rasulullah, why do you stand all night so much so that the blood starts to come out of your blessed feet? At that point, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Afala akunu abdan shakura. And if you want to understand ibadah, then come to Barghai Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He goes, should I not be a grateful servant to Allah Almighty? Should I not be a grateful servant to Allah Almighty? He's teaching you and me. He's educating you and me. That his ummah will come, his ummatis will come 1400 years later. That they shouldn't just make the claim that we love the Rasul, but they should also practically demonstrate their love of the Rasul. They shouldn't be people who just talk the talk, but they should be people who walk the walk as well. When it came to his duties and his responsibilities, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam fulfilled his duties and responsibilities. He would give time to his Sahaba, he would give time to his blessed wives, he would give time to his children as well. This was Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was a military commander. Out of the 27 battles which took place during the life of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was present, mawjood, in 20 out of them 27. And most of these battles happened after the age of 53. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did hijrah from Makkah to Medina at the age of 53. Badr took place 2 years later. 55 years old. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is setting an example for you and me. He's giving you and me a direction in life, a purpose in life. That if you want ibadah, then look at Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And if you want irfan, recognition, then look at Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is the most perfect example. And today I'll give my last jumla, maybe I have seen pehle jana si. Lekin bamari hai, once you get the microphone, fir mujhe sara kuch wapas aayega. Aakhri jumla. What have you learned so far? This is how they teach you in schools. No point just coming here, doing a few nare, having langar sharif and go, without taking a message with us. We said what? Bunyad, Alama Sadaqah Sahib started. Bunyad of Iman is Hubbun Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Or Adab Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This is the Aqidah of the Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And I challenge anybody who can prove me otherwise, who can prove me wrong. The Tariq of Islam will testify that whenever a great Imam stood up, he stood up with Ishq Mustafa and Adab Mustafa. Whenever Sultanul Awliya Shanshai Baghdad stood up in the streets of Baghdad, he stood with Ishq Mustafa, Adab Mustafa. Whenever Khaja Sayyid Mu'inuddin Hassan stood in the cities and the lands of Ajmer, he stood with Ishq Mustafa, Adab Mustafa. When Sayyid Ala Hazrat Imam Ahl Sunnat Imam Ahmad Raza Khan stood up, he stood with Ishq Mustafa, Adab Mustafa. And this is the bunyad of our Aqidah. But bunyad needs, when you build the foundation to your house, you need the walls, the roof, you need everything else as well. And my message is that everything else comes through your salah. Everything else comes through your character. Everything else comes through your akhlaq and adab. Everything else comes through your conduct, your way of life. And that way of life that we should be following is none other than the way of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. As Muslims in the 21st century, we are facing many challenges and many difficulties. We are being attacked from all sides and corners. We face so many problems, social problems. Our youngsters are on drugs and alcohol. Our Muslim brothers and sisters are in the pubs and the clubs. Our youth are gambling their money away in the bookies. We have more youngsters in the shisha lounges than we do in the house of Allah Almighty. We have social problems as Muslims, and we have religious problems as well. Our youth, their minds are being polluted. Their hearts are being contaminated. Our youth go to these universities, these colleges in this country, and they are slowly sucked away from the true Aqidah of the Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. These are our problems. Let me give you one solution and take ijazah. That solution lies in the message I've already given. If you want your problems to be solved, then come to Barghai Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Come to the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Come to the example of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ahli Hadith, giving a solution to these problems. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned on Hajjatul Wida, while standing on Jabal Rahmat, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was giving the Paygam to his Sahaba. Akhri khutbah, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned many things in this particular sermon. But he goes, I have left you two things. Muslims, Ummat Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, I have left you two things. If you hold on to these two, you will never ever go astray. You will never be misguided. You will always be on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said the first thing is Al-Quran al-Karim. Hold on to the Quran. Hold on to the rope which is the Quran al-Karim. This Quran which is a shafa'at for you and me. This Quran which is a rahmat for you and me. This Quran in which there is no doubt. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. And the second thing that we hold on to is Sunnat Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then we walked the way Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam walked. We talked the way Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam talked. We sit the way Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam sat. We stand the way Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam stood. And this is my message, that if you want change in your life, then hold on to the daman of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Asiyo, thamalo, damane Mustafa. And Quran says this as well. Wa'tasimu bihablillahi jami'an wa la tafarraqu. Oh Muslims, hold on. I thought you were going to stand up and tell me to go. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. That hold on firmly to the rope of Allah Almighty. And Mufassirin mentioned again Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma. Or Hafiz ibn Kathir al-Damishqi mentioned this in his tafsir as well. That what is the rope of Allah? What is Hablullah? They said the rope of Allah is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hold on to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's akhlaq, his adab, his kirdar, his character. This is what we need to implement into our lives today. Time to change ourselves. Time to wake up from this heedless sleep that we are in. And time to become true lovers of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Time to give proofs and evidences to that claim. Allah Almighty first give me the tawfiq to act upon what I have said. And Allah Almighty give you also the tawfiq to act upon what you have heard. Ultimately, all good comes from Allah. If I have said anything wrong, it is through my own faults and my own lack of knowledge. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينُ. The aim is to take people towards Madinatul Munawwarah. The aim is to take people towards Madinatul Munawwarah. You can go through Baghdad, you can go through Ajmer, you can go through Sindh, you can go through Eid Gasham, you can go through any channel, but as long as the destination is Madinatul Munawwarah. Or Jani to Pehle, who is ready to go back to Medina? Put your hands up. Make this promise not to me. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. This promise is between you and Allah Almighty. This promise is between you and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That we are going to change our lives. Are we ready? Say inshallah. We are going to change our lives. We're going to read our prayer 5 times a day. That we're going to act upon the character of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That we're all going to go towards Madinatul Munawwarah. Ijazat as well, inshallah. I have to go to Bradford. Allah Almighty give you all happiness and khair. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ.